All right, welcome back to This is Florida Podcast. I'm here with Josh. Josh,
hey, everybody. Another week in the life.
Josh is excited.
I'm ready to go.
He is, he's thrilled. Josh, what happened? How was your weekend, man, first?
Laid back weekend after the hurricane. How about yourself? Anything fun going on?
Yeah, same thing. Busy with work and stuff. But, yeah, the hurricane was last week. Hurricane Ian. If you don't know, we're in Jacksonville, Florida, so we weren't really affected that much at all. I lost power personally for like 30 minutes.
I had nothing, no Wi-Fi down, no power down. Everything was
normal.
smooth, yeah. And I know you're a Florida guy.
Yeah.
I am myself. What do you do when a hurricane's bearing down? What do you and your family do to prepare?
Yeah, that's a good question. So there's all different kinds of websites or a quick Google search, like how much water should I have or how much food. So we have a deep freezer that we keep full of meat, and then we have a fridge in the garage, but we're like overly prepared. So at any given time, I keep 2 propane tanks on me. I'm always rotating them in and out. So I've always got one that's still got like a plastic on it so I can cook for sure. I've got a generator. We do have water. We probably didn't have as much as some of the articles say. They say you should have so per person, you're supposed to have 7 gallons of water per day.
Ooh, we did not have that.
That's
no way.
like a lot.
That's a
right?
ton of water.
And so I'm like, I don't think we really need, or maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's a gallon per days for up to 7 days. That's what it is. You're supposed to have a gallon per person up to 7 days. I usually prepare for like 3 days. Because if we go 3 days and we still are like if it's that bad, like I'm going out of town.
Yeah, we're going to get out
So
of here.
I'm not just staying there. Like work has stopped. Everything has stopped. So we don't really need it.
I think I picked up maybe 2 cases of water. And the big concern, at least for this one, it didn't look like it was ever going to hit us directly in Jacksonville, is the iPads being charged, cell phones being charged because the kids need to stay entertained. That's really the concern until there's a Category 5 looking us in the eye.
Yeah, and so same thing with me, like the generator we have, it's not like the world's largest generator, but it will run, I made sure it will run a window unit, it'll charge up some phones and a TV and the refrigerator. So what we do, we'll just take all the meat out of the deep freezer, put it in the other side. We don't eat any trash. So like the freezer in our house is completely empty. I don't have any pizzas in there or ice cream or anything. It's completely empty. The only thing that goes in there is like the ice pack for my lunch boxes every night. So there's plenty of room that if we did, oh, I forgot to put the logo up there.
Oh, there we go.
Logo's up there now. So
beautiful.
If we did, if we had the power go out, we would just move stuff in there. We didn't even fire up the generator. What about you? Did you do anything else other than that? I mean, are you as prepared as me?
I'm a little bit. I got a little bit of Florida man in me.
Okay.
So I don't do a whole heck of a lot.
Okay.
I did get nervous. I got nervous. It hit us, I think, on Thursday. I got a little nervous on Wednesday.
Okay.
I got a little nervous. Anyway, thank God it didn't hit us.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
There are people south of us who did take some damage. And experts predict somewhere between $25 and $40 billion in damage. And I know I've seen on the news the causeway down in, where is it, north of Tampa?
That's in Fort Myers.
Man.
Sanibel Island, that causeway is just totally gone. So my family, I did grow up in St. Pete, Clearwater, and so Hurricane Charlie, Hurricane Ivan, Katrina, everything came through there. Obviously, we didn't get direct hit from those, but Charlie we did. We didn't have power for like 2 weeks, and even then, as we were recovering from that, the other storms, I don't remember the exact timeline because it was like 2004, but we had a lot, and I still have family down there. So my sister and her family, they're in like Brandon, Bradenton area, which is like basically the west side or the far east side of Tampa. Sorry, when you live on opposite sides of the state, you get confused because normally you think the water, like you grow up your whole life in Tampa, and you're like the water is west. And now you live in Jacksonville,
east,
and the water is east, so it's kind of your point of reference. But they lost power for like almost a whole week. It like finally just came on. My grandparents stayed with her because they were in a camper. So thankfully, because we saw all that destruction, like you just touched on down there in Fort Myers, and that would have been my grandparents' place had it come a little bit further north. So they were lucky and fortunate there. But yeah, looking at that compared to the other storms, we've got some big name storms here. So they do predict that it's going to go down as one of the biggest storms. I'm looking at this article here that was talking about property insurance because there was a bunch of insurance drama in Florida before the hurricane. So now what's going to happen? But these costs are adjusted for inflation. But just to compare, Hurricane Katrina, $89.7 billion. That's a lot. But Ida, $36 billion in damages. Sandy, $35 billion, and then Harvey and Irma both $33 billion. So we're talking $25 to $40 billion. We're going to be we might be second place, second to Katrina.
Yeah, and I saw this morning, I think the death toll is around 100, and I mean that's
Is that official? Because
I haven't seen that official.
When
no.
I was watching, and I hope it's not, but when I was watching, at first they were putting that out, and then they were like, "Oh, we have one confirmed death." Like it went from like death tolls in the hundreds to we have one confirmed. But then that was like initially. So now that we're a few days in.
And it could have been complete from Hurricane Ivan, which I mean I know it nailed Cuba.
Yeah.
So it could be that.
Yeah. So there are ways to help if you're interested in helping South Florida recover. Josh and I have a couple different things. There's different ways you can give money. You could go there if you had time off work. You could go there and actually physically work. I know I got a message from some guys. Oh, let me show you this picture, Josh. I didn't post this picture because I do a lot of posting, but one of the things I'm careful not to post is like when we're giving or when we do charity, simply because it kind of like devalues the gift, right?
I agree.
But I'll say it on here because I think this is the right platform for it.
Yeah, I agree with you, man.
Where is this picture? So I found out there was a guy from our office, and he was like headed south, and he just posted on Facebook and was like, "Hey, I'm going south with a bunch of gas," and obviously I was prepared and had my gas generators and all that ready to go, and so I said, "Yeah, man, I'll meet you," and here's the picture. And I'll put this up there. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see this picture. But there's the gas cans. I threw one in there, 5 gallons. Not a whole bunch, but it was my generator gas. I didn't need my generator, and someone down there probably does. So threw it in there. And we were just guessing maybe there's like $1,900, $2,000 worth of gas there. So appreciate him for sure making the drive down there, taking the time off work just to drop those off.
Yeah, and that's the gas cans. Go back to what I was saying is, hey, make sure those iPads are charged. Make sure the kids have something to do because it's bad enough. I can't control the weather. I can't turn the power back on.
Yeah.
But what I can do, hopefully, is keep the kids from crying and having a bad day.
Yeah.
Now, over at Movement, we do what's called Love Works.
Yeah, tell me what you guys are doing. Love Works.
Love Works. And we do that for almost everything. It's an employee-to-employee contribution program. So whenever anybody's in need, right now, it's those folks down in South Florida. Love Works directs all their attention down there to help employees in need. Doesn't matter if you've been at the company for a day. Doesn't matter if it's your cousin, your kids, whoever, your mom. We're going to go help them. And we have about $36 million in the Love Works Foundation right now.
Okay.
Yeah. And they direct that, person to person. Same thing that's going on here. I mean, this is a grassroots thing at this level. Nobody's going over, what was it, San Sebastian? What's it called?
Sanibel Island.
Sanibel Island.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Sanibel Island.
That's it. Stuff like that. FEMA's not down there yet. If you got a friend in South Florida who doesn't have power, like I said, their kids are going crazy. Tell them to come on up. Go swim in the pool up north.
Yeah. So that's cool that you guys have that. We also have something called KW Cares, and these are the companies we work for. So obviously, most people have charities and different things that their work has created or makes available to their employees. I know every time we close a deal, when we're filling out our paperwork, our final paperwork, there's a spot on there, and it's like, how much do you want to give to KW Cares? And you can donate like a percentage or a dollar amount. It could be as little as $5 a transaction. And even if it's $5 a transaction, if there's a couple hundred agents in the office, they're doing a few transactions a month. I mean, that can start to add up, and that goes into the pot. And locally, that helps. Like if somebody in the office has something traumatic experience, car wreck, something, or out of work, they can pull money from there. But also events like this. So this is pretty cool. KW Cares went down there, and just like Josh was saying with Movement, a lot of these groups beat FEMA down there. There's no like red tape or bureaucracy involved. It's just a private company that's like load up and go. I saw pictures like semi-truckload. I didn't even know we had a semi-truck, but it was already like its own semi-truck. So, the companies put money into this. $1.94 million in support already. This kind of includes 138 emergency grants. Those are those grants I was talking about. 1,200 generators, physical resources, including fuel, gas cans, electric cord. So I know it was a guy from our office. I don't know if my gas cans were included in that or not. And that would be the cool thing. So this is what we know went down in a semi-truck. I'm sure there's plenty of other people just making runs. The Cajun Navy, they talk about that, Louisiana and stuff. We were similar here in Florida. We all deal with hurricanes our own way to to introduce people who are maybe listening out of our local area. It's all kind of fun and game. I guess we're just used to it. If you've lived here your whole life, you're kind of used to it. And so the memes and the jokes and all that stuff come out, and then it's like the day the storm comes on, it's like lights out. You turn on the Weather Channel, just watch it 24/7, and just like hang out, hunker down, for lack of a better term. And so, and it is serious, and we do care because it could be. I mean, it could honestly be any of us, and even here in Jacksonville, we were looking like, does the storm cross across the state? Is it going to re-strengthen and curve back in? That's always a possibility.
And it's the communities that we serve, and what's really important, and like we both said, with both our companies doing grassroots stuff, these are the communities that we serve, and if we're fortunate enough to, when they're in need, help them out, then heck yeah, we absolutely should.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now we've got some next up. Nate,
yeah.
Next up.
All right. So we got some good stuff. I don't know if you heard last week's episode. I kind of threw out this random stat. I was talking about how people who own a home, and these aren't like investors, these are just home owners.
Regular people.
Yeah, regular people. You and me, we go out and we buy a house. It doesn't have to be 10 houses. It's just your one house. And maybe you sell it and you move up or you downsize or whatever. I threw out some stats and I said, let's look at the stats. Well, we went back to those stats. So is it MSNBC or CNN article, I think.
Yeah, and this is from the Survey of Consumer.
CNBC.
Yeah, Survey of Consumer Finances. So in September of 2020, the Federal Reserve found the median household net worth. Can you guess? I mean, you got it in front of you. $121,700.
121. Now that's median. That's median. Average out of everybody, renter and homeowner combined. So you're
let's
like,
break it
okay,
down.
yeah, everybody's there. Well, let's look at those numbers individually.
This is where it gets crazy.
Huge disparity.
And when I saw this, we were looking at this just a few minutes ago before we press record, and this is something we know. This is something we preach. This is, I will beat my chest on these numbers. I was even surprised.
Blown away.
40
times.
So these are 2020 numbers. This one's from 2019. So this gap has grown even further.
Probably.
So anyway, 2019 homeowners had a median net worth. Oh, let's bounce back real quick. We kind of went up. 121,700 is the median.
Yeah.
Homeowner median is 255,000.
Wow.
Renters $6,300. They are dragging that average down.
Okay. All right. And this is talking about people. So now imagine you're 65 years old and you're facing retirement. And you just rented a house your whole life. You never purchased a house. I mean, you're looking at a net worth of about $6,300 going into retirement. We got some other stuff coming up that I think is going to be the nail in the coffin as to you better do something about this.
And last week last episode, I said, this gives me the cold sweats. I don't remember what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Thank God we have video this week. You can actually see I'm squirming here. My hands are going. I hate that number. $6,300. That's terrifying. Oh. Don't let that be you. If you don't own a home, this is, further down the article. That's a difference of 40 times. So your neighbor, you're renting your house, your neighbor owns the house. They are worth 40 times what you're worth. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. So now when you purchase a home, we also understand there are things involved. And it's not just easy. It's not you're not entitled to purchase a home. It is available to you, and you should, and it's a smart life decision that does take time. You need to save up money for your down payments. You need to research different programs. You need to connect with professionals like Josh at Movement Mortgage or me, a real estate agent that has a real estate team, because we're going to put you on a path, not just to home ownership, but wealth building through real estate. That's really what we're passionate about. That's what we're doing the show, is to kind of break it down and share it with you. And that's why we're diving into this first episode.
Exactly.
To really get out there and get that message out there that hey, there is an answer. Now, a couple things to think about. You should plan to be in your home for 3 to 5 years. It's easy to turn on DIY or HGTV and you see all these flip channels and all this stuff. We're not even talking about that. We're just talking about you as a person. You're in the workforce. You have some money saved up. You need to purchase a home for yourself rather than paying rent, because you might say, well, I don't want to be tied to a mortgage. Whether you're paying rent or whether you're paying a mortgage, you're paying a mortgage. And let's explain that. As a renter, somebody owns that property, and there's probably a mortgage on that property. You're paying the rent, which is paying off the mortgage, except it's a zero return on your investment.
Exactly. And as someone who's lucky enough to have an investment property, I can tell you, every month they pay my mortgage.
Pay it.
And they give me a little bit extra spending money. They pay my mortgage every single month.
Yeah.
I hope they're not listening, but I'm sure that they know
Yeah.
You know, that's just how it works.
Right. And rents go up, but your mortgage is fixed for now, unless you sign some hunky dory like paperwork, which we're going to make sure you don't.
Yeah, that's not going to.
But your mortgage is fixed over 30 years. So imagine how much rent is. How much was it to rent something 30 years ago?
Goodness.
A couple $100.
And I'll tell you
now
what,
it's $2,500.
This is something I'm gearing up for on my end, right? And not I'm talking the mortgage loan originator end, is those refinances coming through. I'm excited to refinance my investment property because that spending money that my renters give me, it'll go up.
Okay. So let's talk about this. Your primary home. Yeah. Investment property is one thing, but that's also true. And it's okay. But your primary home, is your primary home an investment or is it not?
It's absolutely an investment.
Okay.
It is like putting money in the bank every month when you pay your mortgage. It doesn't go anywhere. You're putting it there. You know, your taxes, you got to pay your taxes. You got to pay your insurance. That's part of your mortgage payment in case you weren't aware of that. But that money that you pay down your principal with, you're getting that back when you sell the house, if you want to refinance to take cash out. And that's what Nate's been referring to here is, you know, that 3 to 5 year period. Don't expect that you're going to buy a house. Next year you sell it. Boom. You guys said my net worth would be 40 times what it was.
Yeah.
I did what you said. Now it's 2023. I'm ready to sell and get that $250,000. It doesn't work that way.
All right. So
takes time.
You hit on something. It's a bank account. So Josh has a squeaky chair, and he cannot resist moving.
I can't sit still ever since I saw
it's okay. You know what, man? You forgot your headphones, and I forgot my WD-40 because I was like, I'm bringing WD-40 for that chair today. It's fine. We'll get it fixed next time. Don't cancel us. If you hear a little squeaking in the chair, it's just Josh's.
Did you hear it? I thought
Josh's excitement.
All right, I'm going to sit very still now.
No, because then you're going to be tense. Don't worry about it.
I'm chill. It's
fine.
I'm good.
It gives a sense of realism as if they're in the room with us.
Yeah, this is
which
an
is what we
IKEA
want.
chair.
We're just having conversation about life and good decisions because we're into them. Okay, so a bank account. Your home's a bank account. Now, there's a difference between an investment property and a primary residence, and a lot of people go back and forth, your liabilities and assets and a mortgage on home. You know, if you follow some financial guys, they're going to say that's debt just like anything else, and other guys are going to say it's investment. The way I think to simplify this, it is a bank account. It is you put money into that bank every single month, and you're getting a 3 to 5% annual return on it. If you own a house within the last couple of years, you had like a 30% return, which you cannot get in the stock market, in a savings account, nowhere. And so you're building equity. You're putting every month when you write that check, it's like putting another check in the bank that is growing. And by the time you're 65 years old, if you did nothing but have that one house, because in 30 years, you're going to pay it off. So it's going to be paid off completely. You're not even putting money into it anymore, but you could take money back out. You could refinance. You could cash out. You could go live the life you want to live or buy more properties, you know?
Yeah. And that's a question I get asked all the time because while it is a bank account, you can't go down the street and take a withdrawal. It's a little bit more complicated than that. It's a question that I get all the time is how do I access my equity? And I don't ever have a good answer because there are so many different ways. We can do a cash out refinance, a home equity line of credit. I mean, it goes on and on. You could sell it, buy a smaller one.
Yeah. It's
that's
also a hedge of protection for your money. Think of it like that. If you buy this property and you invest in this property and you maintain it and you update it, you're putting your money there versus on a car payment or other things that you could be blowing money on. And then when you're older, you can recoup it. And we're just talking about older. I mean, there are immediate returns on it. Just like me, like I said, I'm not old, but I bought my house 7 years ago. And my mortgage is $1,400, like I said, but rents in my neighborhood are $2,500. So if I was a renter right now to be living the same quality of life that I like to live, I'd be paying $2,500 a month versus $1,400, which means that's $1,000 more out of my pocket. Those are trips to freaking SeaWorld with my kids. Those are trips 3.5 hours down the road to see my parents, like my kids' grandparents. I'm talking about those are the immediate returns you're going to get out of homeownership.
And that is, that's, in my opinion, the things that are most important in life. So, Nate, we've kind of talked about how this net worth, how to build that net worth. Why? Why does it matter? Why do we care about our net worth?
Why is it so important?
I Google celebrity net worth sometimes. I don't think people are doing that to me. I don't know how they would know. Why do we care?
Josh, the number one cause of bankruptcy for people over the age of 65. We're talking retirement age, people who all they did was put into their 401ks, and the number one cause of bankruptcy is their health. People in America are just unhealthy as can be. Like I said, I don't got ice cream in the fridge. We don't do that. Like I am the most rebellious person ever in the form of my eating alone. But people over this age who especially need long-term healthcare. We've got some articles here that we can go to, but the number one cause is healthcare. And when it comes to long-term healthcare, people who need long-term healthcare, here's the cost in 2021. This is according to seniorliving.com, and they've got some references there. We'll put all these articles in the show notes. That's another thing we need to do. According to a 2021 cost of care by Genworth, a private room in a nursing home costs $297 per day. Now that seems like a lot, but then when you break it down, that's $9,034 a month.
Goodness gracious.
$9,034 a month. And that's today. What's it going to be in 30 years when you're 65?
Yeah, that's north of $100,000 a year.
So here's what happens. People don't build net worth. They find themselves in this situation. Now, whose responsibility is it? The kids. So now you got the kids having to hunker down and spend the money. This leads to family infighting often. I mean, can be detrimental to families. The best thing you can do for yourself and your kids is to make sure you're prepared. Now, there's different insurances. Like I've got insurance policies and other things. You should, don't put all your eggs in one basket, they say. And that's fine. I get that. But like for us, for Josh and me, we're passionate about real estate. And we truly believe that you can build your net worth through real estate so that when you're of that age, you are going to be taken care of. And not only that, once you're dead and gone, because it happens to all of us, you've got some stuff to pass down and to hand on to further generations.
Yeah, and this isn't in the show notes. I've just kind of jotted this down while you were talking there.
Yeah.
And the opposite of this is what Nate's saying. The opposite is generational wealth, and that's something we talk about all the time. Instead of burdening your children with having to pay these potential outrageous medical costs or senior living or whatever down the line, instead of burdening them with that, you can pass wealth down to them. And the best way to do that is through homeownership. Because if you're 65, 65 is not what it used to be. I feel like maybe like 85 now.
Maybe.
Yeah, I know some spry 65.
Well, that's when like the 401ks and the other stuff kick in. So it's kind of like the baseline.
So if you're 80, let's say 80, and you're ready to, move into a senior living or really downsize, what if you're owning a home at that point that's worth $1 million, $750,000, call it $250. You're going to sell that. Where does that money go? That money goes directly to what you're saying to pay this down, or not pay this down, to pay for your later in life expenses.
Yeah.
So you don't have to burden your kids so that they can make their own money, so that they don't have to burden their kids. That is generational wealth, period.
Here's the other thing about your kids. Your kids are going to like repeat your actions. No matter what you tell them, they're going to see what you do. And a lot of people, I know people that are like, well, I don't want my kids to know about my money. I teach my 7-year-old about money. When I get checks, I show her the checks. I put them in the bank. And not as like let me gloat, let me brag, but I'm training her how to have respect for money and how to do it. And then every time we go on a trip, every time we buy something, when we look at investment properties for ourselves, she's getting those lessons. And yeah, I plan to purchase a home as an investment property, have it paid off by the time she's 18 years old, and give it to her. And a lot of people might look at that and disgust and be like, oh, that's the rich kid. But they've got the wrong mindset. The difference is I'm training my kid now until that age. And so they're going to be, as the hurricane comes and the shingles are blown off the roof on my investment property, she's going to be in the car with me, driving to that property to assess the damage, meeting with the people who are there to fix it, and seeing how the cost affects. So they're getting those real life lessons on wealth. And I promise you, if you are setting yourself up for wealth, and then you're training your kids on that as well, by the time you need this kind of long-term care, you're not going to be in a nursing home. You're going to be in a house probably with your family, and you're going to have enough investments and enough net worth that you're going to have in-home care. So you're going to still get to spend time with your family and still be in a better position, everything else, which probably costs more than the $9,000, but in the end, you set up yourself for that.
Yeah. And so one of the major things, it may cost more than the $9,000, right? And if they're a good analogy here, right? If your net worth is huge, you got $10 million as your net worth. That's a big ship. You're a big ship on the ocean.
Yeah.
You're going to get tossed around a little less. If you don't have that, if you got the 6,300, you're a renter, and we hit it tough times like we are in now, knocking on the recession door.
Yeah.
That tiny ship, you're going to get tossed around. I don't know if you're going to make it.
Yeah. Talk about that recession a little bit. I know you made some notes, Josh, and we want to share some of that.
Yeah. So what a lot of folks are saying on the economic mortgage rate side right now, and there's an accounting term for this, FIFO, first in, first out. And so what this basically means, is that we saw in our industry, right, real estate and mortgage loans, we were kind of the first to hit this recession. And I mean, I guess we're not technically in a recession yet, but we were the first industry really to see a slowdown. We were the first industry to really tighten up based on the current economy. So a lot of people are saying that mortgages and real estate was the first in, which could mean that we're the first out. So we've already kind of, last episode was a little bit doom and gloom. We talked about how I cried in bed for a little while because of the rate market. This week, it's the opposite. I'm seeing green. I'm not seeing red. Things are kind of starting to turn around. And again, I'm going to kind of touch on inflation. I'm always talking about it. I feel like every single day I talk about inflation now. And the reason is it's one of the most important things driving our economy. The Fed is fighting inflation. Are they, we're not going to see the results directly. Are they doing too much? Are they doing not enough? What's going on? And like I said in the last episode, we got to keep an eye on the inflation numbers. So if those start to come down, we could be the first out. We being, the mortgage industry, the real estate industry. And we could see a turnaround quick. It could be quicker than a year. And that doesn't mean that we're going to kind of come out of this. What you were talking about is what Gary Keller said is, hey, this could be a 3-year thing. We may be a year into it. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's going to kind of go to inventory. It's going to go to other things. But we could see the mortgage side of that open up, kind of help the market out a little bit. And that's what, that's what the Fed hopes. That's what everybody hopes, because we want to see folks grow that generational wealth. We want to see them grow that net worth. And this is what we do. I want to talk to 25 customers a day. I want to teach them. I want to educate them, talk about generational wealth. If they, if they're on their 4th home, heck yeah, let's high five and get the deal done.
Yeah, it is literally our job. And so we understand people have families, people have lives, people wake up, they go to work, they want to go to the gym, they want to do their other stuff too. So part of my job, the first thing I do every morning, I've got about an hour allotted just for market research. Every morning I come in and I'm reading a book for 30 minutes on wealth building or on real estate or on strategies for purchasing homes and selling them and getting better. I'm sharpening the axe of my craft, if you will. And then, about another 30 minutes, I'm in my emails and I'm seeing what news articles are out, what thing happened, all this information we're sharing with you. And we do that so that when we schedule a 30-minute meeting with you or an hour meeting with you, we're able to now pour all of that information into you and set you on a path. So that's exactly what we do. People in the industry used to do buyer consultations, and it was all about closing leads and getting the deal and very commission-minded for the agent. My model is completely different, and I know Josh is a part of my model. And it's really, we want to put you on a wealth building through real estate. So when you say, hey, Nate, I want to buy a house. Hey, perfect. I have a buyer program that I want to enroll you in. And the first step in this is we're going to come in and we are going to meet and build a real estate strategy for you. And that's how seriously we take it. It's almost like if you sat down with a financial planner to plan your retirement. You're basically doing the same thing with me, except through real estate versus stocks and bonds.
Yeah, and this is something Nate touched on a minute ago that we are both passionate about. We love what we do. We happen to think we're good at what we do, and we want to help you. And Nate was showing me his package here. He's got it in front of him.
This is pretty cool.
If you're on the video, and I was floored. I was like, man, something I say often, and I actually got laughed at in front of some realtors last week for saying this, but I'm going to say it again. The industry is shifting toward you need to be a guide. These clients, if you're a first-time home buyer, you don't want somebody to just throw offers, and you want a Sherpa to take you to the mountaintop of home ownership.
That's it.
Let's pull that out. I'm going to put that on Facebook. The mountaintop of home ownership.
A t-shirt idea.
Oh, my goodness.
We need a note that's like t-shirt ideas, because we do have merch.
It felt great saying it. I didn't write that down.
Okay. Well, it's recorded, so we'll be able to go back and find it.
Perfect.
I want to touch on this. So when you come in and meet with me, I don't care if you bought a house before, maybe you haven't done it in a few years. The first step is we're going to go through your strategy, and then you're going to get this book, Your First Home. I'll have links to where you could buy this. If you want to buy this book right now, you don't want to wait for the meeting, fine. But if you come in and you meet with me and we put you on that path, we're going to get you. Here's a bit. I'm going to put this on the slides too. Understanding equity and home appreciation, just to nail down every single thing we talk about. If you purchase a house today for $250,000, there's zero appreciation in there, and maybe you had to put $50,000 down. So that's the part about being fiscally responsible and saving up your money. But you put that $50,000 down. You have spent $50,000, and you have that in the house. So if you sold your house the next day for $250,000, you would get that back. Of course, closing costs, things, but whatever. But 22 years later, you still only purchased the house for $250,000, but The house is appreciated now to $366,000, or that's a percentage amount. So it basically, the current home value is $616,000. These are estimates. Your remaining debt now is $97,000 because you paid it off. So if you sold it, you'd get $518,000 out of it. Year 30, the home's completely paid off. Based on inflation, this is a 4% average, so that 3 to 5% average. That home is probably going to be worth $810,000. The home you bought today for $250,000 may be worth $810,000 by the time you pay it off. And it's paid off, so you've put all your money into it, so you could cash that out. Close to $1 million, cash it out. You could spread that around to different funds. You could go buy 10 other investment properties with the money and then collect money for the next 20 years, and you're set.
Yeah, you're set up, and that goes right back to net worth, generational wealth.
Yeah.
While I was doing that, I pulled up the appreciation numbers very specific to, I pulled up Clay County. The 1-year forecast is 1.67%. 5-year forecast is 17.12% for your home to appreciate.
Yeah.
That's a considerable amount of money.
So those numbers I read are just kind of like averages. This is, there's actual projections. So once you get through the process, then we're going to search for your home. We're going to find your home. We're going to make that smart purchase, a home that maybe turns into an investment property someday. As you move out, you don't sell that house, but you keep it and you build your portfolio. So at closing, you're going to get some gifts and everything. There's gifts. One of the things that drives me nuts about the real estate industry is how we give gifts at closing. Like, my divorce attorney never gave me a gift when I got divorced, okay? So my doctor doesn't give me a gift when I complete the appointment. Nobody gives me gifts. But for some reason in our industry, it's all about gifts, and people say, hey, I give them a gift, so that way they give you more business. And I'm like, how about I do such a good job that they can't help but hire us again, and they can't help but share with their friends that we are the ones we should hire. So anyway, we do give gifts as well. We got some cool merch. We've got everything from Yeti cups to gift cards, stickers, T-shirts. But this book right here, Millionaire Real Estate Investor, once you close, you're going to start with your first home, and then once you close, you're going to get this book, and I would encourage you to get into it because I want you to buy not just one house this year, but I want you to buy 5 houses over the next 5 years. Really build that passive income. Set yourself up for retirement. Set your family up with a great net worth, training and leading them. I just don't know any other way to do it.
Yeah, and that's something I'm gearing up for on my side of things as well is, hey, you need to stay active with this house. You wouldn't do that with anything else. You wouldn't drop $50,000 and then put it on the back burner. You need to stay involved. You need to make sure you still have the best interest rate. Make sure you're not eligible to, refinance and help yourself out payment-wise so that you can save more money, so that you can look into becoming that millionaire real estate investor. And that's how you do it. You stay on top of it. Every 6 months, you should be giving me a call at least.
Yeah. So, Josh, this has been great. So, basically, we're launching this podcast. This is Florida. We're going to dive into some local stuff coming up next. But to close out this segment, we are, passionate about this stuff. And so that's why we chose the initial episodes to kind of be geared towards this. So what we want to do this week, we kind of talked about like just getting your mindset. Like, why? Why would I bother with real estate? And so maybe for those of you that are listening, you're like, I'm interested. I want to hear what you have to say. Come back next week, because next week we're going to be talking a little bit more about taking that first step and what it means to just like, okay, I've decided that this is right for me. Now what?
Exactly. And if there's anything anybody wants us to talk about, throw a wrench in here. We will talk about it. If it's, hit up Nate on Facebook, give me a text, send me a message on TikTok. It doesn't matter. Reach out to us. We are out there. We'll talk about whatever you want. You can come in and sit with us. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's been real. Give us a call.
All right. Next time.